So if you're on your hands and knees, I sometimes just kind of take the flesh of the calf, roll it out, and then you can sit back down again. It's worth kind of setting up the posture appropriately. And then with some height between the feet so that the sit bones have something to rest upon. The heel of the hand is going to press into the top of the thigh, get a sense of the thigh dropping in the hip socket, and then shoulders gently roll back and soften down. So again, just bringing an awareness to the back of the armpit and inviting the back, so that thread, that little string on the back of the armpit to draw down, that little tassel. And as you do so, perhaps something in that lower back, the sacral ligaments can fall without everything collapsing, right? There's a sensation of the back muscles falling down either side of the spine. I think of curtain just falling down, right? And then the heart arises as we receive this rising sun, this waking day. Taking a deep breath in, the brain can drift back, and again, the gaze can extend out softly. Just taking in the environment, but without being distracted or drawn out by what's going on around us. And then beginning to just kind of draw the senses in upon the breath. And let's bring the chin, lower the chin gently towards the chest. You can lower or drop the gaze off the tip of the nose, kind of gazing in upon the heart, and bring the hands together in Namaste. Just taking a moment to open this practice with sankalpa, with its quality of intentionality, the intention to be present to the movement of our awareness, and noticing how the awareness can guide prana, can guide the energy within the body, the breath, with awareness of the breath itself and how the breath can serve to kind of move us into the places of tension, of tightness, of boundedness, if that's a word. And we breathe into those sticky places. And we begin to move this energy, transmuting this energy into a vaster consciousness, into a higher consciousness. So the mind begins to open. Let's take a lovely deep breath in. Just soak it up. And exhale. Navel to spine, hips rooting, release the fingers to the earth. Good. And then again, if you need to come out of the posture for a moment, just take hands and knees, a little cat-cow stretch. Otherwise, you will settle back or stay, hold that seat. Take the arms out a little bit to your side, spin the palms up towards the sky. So you want that rotation at the shoulder. So you can again drop the back of the shoulder and broaden the front of the chest. Sweep the arms to the sky. Again, the arms are going to frame the temples here. And then lift, reach the arms to lift the rib cage off of the pelvis. Good. Urdhva Hastasana, the arms reach to the sky. And the more you lift the rib cage away from the pelvis, the more the heart rises, right? The more buoyancy we gain as we work with this breath. Can we also invite a sense of density in the sit bone, a sense of softening in the groins and the hips, a sense of release in that lower back. So the front of the spine is ascending, is rising, and the back of the spine is falling. The back of the head is falling a little bit. Take a deep breath in. Reach softly into the fingers. Good. Exhale, soften through the hips. Widen a little bit through the heel of the hand, and perhaps the base of the throat expands a little. The collarbones widen. Good. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, can you place the mind in the back of the armpits falling a little bit, the back of the armpit, right? That tassel in the back of the armpit, the shoulder blade sliding down the back, the heart rising a little bit, perhaps. Inhale, breathing wide. And as you exhale, can the navel drift back, and perhaps again, you get that softening, that release in the hips. Let's take another deep breath and just let the mind drop all the way down into the pelvis. Exhale. And we'll take the arms wide, turning the palms out away from you and then down towards the earth. Good. And releasing the fingertips or hands to the floor. Let's come forward onto hands and knees. And we're going to set up in dolphin pose. So the elbows can be shoulder distance apart, right, with the hands together. You can also have the palms face in with a block between the palms. The elbows will be a bit wider than the palms in this case, right? And then you have the option of taking the palms face down with the forearms parallel. So again, they're all just ways of working into the shoulders. So come up, 2 hands and knees. Jump. I'm going to work with the blanket under the knees. Compassion for the knee joint, right? Good. Lower the forearms to the floor. And again, the palms can face in towards one another, just like we did in the arms up position. Flex your toes here. Good. And then lift through the lower belly. Take the gaze a little forward of the elbows, equidistant, right? So somewhere between those forearms. And then, and again, behind the wrist. So you don't want to be looking out in front of you. Just look right down at the floor. Keep the weight in the arms. So as the elbow end of the forearm roots down, as well as the little finger side of the hand, right? The wrist roots down, but really anchor the elbow to get that integration of the shoulder. And then we'll root through the feet, lift the hips to the sky, let the head fall, and you can look back towards your feet here. Take a deep breath in. So I'm on the ball of the foot. The heels are lifting, so I want to engage the thighs a little bit here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, full breath out. Keep pressing down through the elbows, the forearms, lifting through the belly, retracting the ribs. Good. Keep the weight in the arms for a moment here to really integrate those shoulders. And now lower the knees to the floor. Let's take child's pose. Hips to heels, stretching out through the toes. And I'm just going to fold the arms, stacking the hands forehead to the top end. And just feel into your breath for a moment here. Allow the breath to expand to your back body. Inhale, walk the arms out in front of you. Lovely. Good. Exhale. Let's make our way to hands and knees. Little cat-cow pose. So taking a deep breath in, draw the heart, the sternum forward. And as you exhale, lift and draw into the lower abdomen. Beautiful. Inhale to extend. Good. Exhale. So maybe a full breath to extend, a full breath to flex. Or just inhaling to extend the spine, taking the gaze forward, the hips back. Little saddle back position. This is your cow pose. And then exhale to transition into cat. So flexing the spine, looking in upon the abdomen or the heart. Inhale to neutral spine. With the exhalation, keep the belly lifting here and draw the knees together. So we're going to lower the forearms back down to the floor. We're going to take a little open gate / side stretch here. So again, lowering the forearms. I'm going to keep the left arm grounded, walk the right hand back into this sort of chaturanga position. So the right hand comes back, sort of aligned with the lower ribs and maybe near that right knee. And then we extend that right leg out behind me. So again, watch the ending tendency to sink into that left hip. Drop the tailbone, get that lift in the belly, and then just gently pivot the back toes out a little bit and reach with that back heel. And I'm kind of hooking the big toe, spreading the toes of the back foot, reaching through the heel, trying not to sink into that left hip. So my back heel's not quite on the floor yet. Press the tailbone forward. Good. Draw the navel back. And then as I shift the weight back towards that left arm, so the forearm that's on the floor, reaching down through that forearm, can that right leg extend away from the ground? Pressing the tailbone forward into the body. I do this a lot because it's so important to get the pelvis to kind of really stabilize, right? And then as the tailbone presses forward, can the navel and the rib cage drop back? And that's where you can find rotation, keeping, right, a little internal rotation of that back leg. So reaching with that back leg, I don't want to bring it too high. Good. And find that rotation, grounding that lower shoulder. Maybe that right arm comes to the sky. Maybe the right arm extends alongside the temple. And you just kind of feel out, right? I've got that top hand on the seat of a chair or the sofa just because it's very handy. And I'm reaching out that right leg. Let's take another deep breath in. Beautiful. Exhale. Pressing out through the ball of the back foot. Inhale. Good. Think of the top side of your body lifting and floating up to lift the underside of the body. Reach that top leg all the way back, down towards the floor. And as you extend through the heel this time, pick up that left elbow, Take that right hand back to the floor, and we're just going to walk the hands towards that right foot. So over to the right, spinning this left foot back behind the left knee. I'm going to angle myself a little differently here. So we're moving into our open gate position. Good. Right leg extended. So walk the hands over towards the straight leg. What was the back? Good. Take a deep breath in. With the exhalation, lift and draw into the lower belly. Let's come to an upright kneeling position here, pressing the tailbone forward. Same thing, rib cage drifting back. So you're gathering the belly energy, lifting the heart, releasing the arms to your sides. Inhale through the arms. Urdhva Hastasana once again. Exhale, turn that right palm face out, lower that right arm towards the right leg, and simply slide the right hand down the outside of the leg. Good. And all I'm doing is really lifting this whole left side of the body, and then rotating a little bit to lift and draw the gaze, maybe up towards the ceiling. If it feels more appropriate to do so, you can look back towards that right shoulder and just notice the shoulders, right? Keep the top arm, elbow rolling down towards the face, and it's the heart, it's the chest that's rolling open. Inhale back up to an upright position, lifting the ribcage way off of the pelvis. Now we're going to tip the pelvis here. So it might help to kick that back foot in a little bit to get a little extra rotation. So you can hinge from that left hip and then take that left hand towards the floor. No weight on the left hand because we want to strengthen the right side of the abdomen here, right? So you might work with a little bit more height, maybe a block, right? Or the hand or forearm on the seat of the chair. Take a deep breath in, walk that left hand out a little further, and we're going to pick up that right leg. Good. So we're not on the forearm anymore, kind of extending that right leg up away from the ground. Beautiful. So we have some options here. One is to take that top arm alongside the temple and reach. You can also lower that back leg to the floor and just get a really nice deep traction as you extend through the heel of that back foot and the fingers of the top arm. And then another option is to bend this right leg. And again, like hero's pose, we're bending the knee and aiming the heel towards the outer buttock, right? So the knee's going to be pointing down a little bit to build this internal rotation. Then once you have the foot, if you're able, press the tailbone a little forward, navel back, and find a little rotation, squeezing that right heel with the right hand towards the right outer buttock. So it's like a half hero's pose, right? A little bit more weight on that lower hand, obviously. Take a deep breath in. Try not to move into the lower back, but to allow the heart to rise. A little bit like the sugar cane pose. And then take a deep breath in. Let's extend that top leg. Good. If it's on the floor, keep it there. If it's up, you can lower down and reach, taking the weight back off that lower hand. And we're just going to walk the hands back to center again, right? Extending that left foot back behind the knee. I'm going to keep walking the hands over towards that right foot. We're going to come into a little rotation, a little twist here. So again, the right toes are turned, still pointing forward. I'm going to thread that left arm underneath. So you can rest on the forearm. You can also just take the shoulder all the way down to the floor. And then very gently build that rotation, extending that right arm to the sky or wrapping the arm around the back of the hips. Good. Let the left shoulder soften away from the ear. Press that left arm down into the floor, lifting and drawing into the belly. And just feeling that opening through the whole right side of your back. Hip. And we'll take one more deep breath in. Healing into that rotation. Take the top hand back to the floor. Ground that right hand. Good. Come off of the left forearm or shoulder. Hands root. And we'll walk the hands back to the top of the mat. Spin on that left shin bone. Spin on that right heel. Good. Keep that right leg straight. We're going to lower the forearms back down to the floor. So again, the forearms can be parallel to one another, rooting down through the elbows. You can also have the hands together. Good. Really press the toes, flex the back toes and press the ball of the foot to the floor. I'm stretching back a little through the heel. Not collapsing, just really stretching through the heel, gripping the mat with the toes, tuck the tailbone to drop the hips, and then slide that left knee back, coming into the forearm plank. And here the gaze can extend a little forward of your fingers, really pressing to the elbows to get that lift in the arms. Good, gripping the mat with your toes to get that lift through the soles of the feet, Pada Bandha. Good, lifting through the lower And then as you soften the heart and take the gaze out, one more deep breath in. And this time we're going to lower the hips all the way down to the earth. Keep the legs really active. So you're opening the front of the hips as the hips lower down. Beautiful. Now stretch out through the toes, press down through the elbows and come into Sphinx pose. So lifting the heart, the back of the armpit draws down. So you want to weight sort of the back of the elbow and then lower the gaze off the tip of the nose. Good. Keep reaching the crown of the head to the sky. Inhale. Nice. Exhale. Navel, rib cage, lifting into the body. And then slide those elbows out. Release the rib cage to the floor. Stretch the sternum out a little bit. And just take a moment in prone shavasana, turning the toes in, dialing the heels out. Press the elbows to the earth, soften the shoulders, forehead to your top hand, and just take a few breaths. Rounding the elbows, inhale, lift the heart, take the gaze out. Draw those heels in and press the tailbone down towards the earth. So start to gather the energy in the legs. Flex your toes. Take the hands by your lower ribs and roll, shrug and roll the shoulders back. I'm not pushing into the hands. I'm just using those back muscles to lift the heart with the inhalation of the breath. Good. And then, some of you might be able to use the toes to stretch forward into upward dog. Good. Or just kind of press into the hands a little bit, right? So this is your upward facing dog, stretching through the toes. Otherwise, lower the knees, lift the belly, and let's all come back into downward facing dog. Exhale, release the head between the arms. Press away from the floor with the hands. Good, uplifting those elbows. Soften the knees if you need to. Push away from the earth with the feet. Get the hips, the sacrum high. And then stretch the groins back towards the tailbone, towards the sit bones. Good. The tailbone is just kind of soft or softening. I don't like to just say lift the tailbone, but you can lift your sit bones a little tiny bit as you lift the heels off the floor so the hamstrings are lifting up. And then as the belly rises, the heels can lower back down, and that takes the hips a little further back. Then opening up the back body. Deep breath in. Beautiful. Exhale. Take the weight a little forward as you shift the gaze forward, really uplifting those arms. Exhale, lower the knees, back down to the earth. Good. And here we're going to sit back in Vajrasana. So tuck the toes. I've got the feet a little bit closer together, not super wide, right? So I have to sit back on my heels here. Hook those big toes. Lift the navel, the rib cage. Start to walk the hands back towards your knees. So this is your tripod position. And then again, you might be working with some height underneath the between the hips and the heels if you need to. And try to sort of lean back, right? So this gives a really nice, it kind of decompresses the knees a little bit more ability to sit upright without a lot of tension in the toes. Just kind of feeling into your body and just kind of stay for a breath or two or three, working with the exhalation of the breath to soften to the extent that you can. And just notice how much you can kind of soften into your posture without that resistance building, right? To come off of the toes. One more deep breath in if you're able. And exhale, can the outer edges of your posture soften? I think of a coat just falling off a coat hanger. And let's walk the hands forward. Good. Circle out the ankles, tap out the feet. We're going to lower the forearms to the floor, elbows underneath the shoulders. This time, keep the right forearm on the ground to take the left hand back. And we're going to stretch that left leg out behind us this time. So my right hip is right over my right knee. Good. And then reach that left leg back. And I'm going to pivot the toes out a little bit and then extend and reach to the heel. Try not to twist the ankle, right? Just kind of grip the toes and then stretch out through the little toe, reach. So the elbow almost feels like it wants to come off the floor. Good. And then press the tailbone forward so you're not thinking into that standing hip. And then I'm going to shift the weight back over onto that right forearm. Again, you want to make sure you're not collapsing into the shoulder, right? That you're really grounding that forearm and then floating that left leg up. You don't have to. You can also keep that leg on the ground, right? And extend that left arm. Again, pressing the tailbone forward. So if you lift the leg, this actually helps the weight go a little bit more onto the forearm. And then as you don't have to lift this left hand off the floor, right? Draw the navel, draw the rib cage back and see if you can find some rotation. It may help to kickstand, right? That lower foot back a little bit for a bit of balance. And again, you can extend left arm to the sky, right foot. And again, I don't want to lift too high, right? Just kind of pressing out. So I find this traction through the hip. Good. And then some of you might want to bring that left heel. We're going to be doing this on the hand as well, right? So you don't have to do this now, but taking that left foot to the outer hip and just feeling into like a little half hero's pose here in a balanced position. There's all these different little variations, right? Take that top arm back down into the floor. Inhale. Exhale, reach that back leg out, toes lower towards the ground. And then as you stretch through the heel, come off that right elbow, walking the hands over to the side edge of your mat. And so towards the back foot. We'll kickstand, right? The kneeling foot back a little bit. Good. Take a deep breath in, coming into open gate pose. Walk the hands back towards the right knee and come to a kneeling upright position. Inhale, take those arms by your sides, dial the palms face out, reach the arms to the sky, lift and lengthen. Good. Tailbone forward, navel back. Exhale, take that left arm out to the side and down towards the left leg and start to lean towards your left. Good. I'm just lifting that right lung, lifting the right side of the rib cage, really grounding that right shin bone and just trying to find opening. Watch the pelvis here. Inhale, deep breath. Maybe the gaze extends up and underneath that top arm. Maybe you look back behind that left shoulder. Good. Exhale. Inhale back up to an upright position. Good. Flip the left palm this time. We're going to tip the whole pelvis, so hinging at this right hip. So again, it helps to kind of slide that lower foot in and back towards the outer, the foot that's the leg that's extended. So you have a little extra rotation. And we're going to tip, taking the right fingertips to the floor. Maybe that left arm can extend alongside the torso. Good. Take a deep breath in, tailbone forward, navel drifting back, and we'll rotate up and open. So you can keep that extension through that whole top side of the body. You can shift the weight onto that right hand, pick up that left leg again, right? And you're aiming the heel for the outer hip, the buttock. So my knee is falling, but not dropping, right? Just so I can get the foot. Left shoulder back. Left collarbone widening. Sternum revolving. Tailbone pressing forward, drawing into the belly. And this is what allows me to really sustain my balance. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. Try not to crank into that lower back. Good. Exhale. Extend that left leg, extend that left arm. Release that top hand to the floor. Release that back foot to the ground. Walk the hands back to the long edge of your mat towards that left foot. So we're going to keep going this time, moving into a little rotation. I'm going to kickstand this right foot back behind the right knee, the kneeling leg, right? I want the foot to come right back behind the knee. And this time the right forearm can come to the floor. I'm resting on that right forearm, right? And then reaching out through that left heel, straight leg, and feeling into that rotation. Watch this lower shoulder with your inner awareness. If you're bringing the shoulder right all the way down to the floor, I'm just going to thread that right arm good, back. And then use that left hand for support as I find rotation. Pressing into the right temple. Good. This time finding some traction through the whole left side of the body. Take a deep breath in. Good. Exhale. Again, you might reach around and bind that right inner thigh. Just kind of feeling into your body. What feels appropriate to you. Inhale. We're going to take one more breath here. Exhale, navel, ribcage drifting back. See if you can feel a little bit of rotation here. Inhale. Walk that left hand or lower that left hand back to the floor and root down. Right hand releases. Good. And we're going to walk our hands back to the top of the mat, spinning. We're picking up that right knee to square off the hip. And then pivot on the ball of the back foot to square off that back hip. Keep that back leg really, really, really straight here. And we're going to lower those forearms back down to the floor. So elbows right under the shoulders. We're going to come into our forearm plank. Reach and extend that back leg. Reach the back heel. Tuck or drop the tailbone so you get that sense of lifting through the belly. Good. And squaring off the hips. And then walk that right leg out or stretch that right leg out. Drop the tailbone, drop the pelvis, coming into a forearm plank. Inhale. Press into the entire length of your forearm, but especially the elbow end, right, to integrate the shoulder. You can do this with one leg. You can keep that right knee on the floor if you want to. And just kind of start to press into the elbow, maybe float that back leg away from the ground. Right, variations. Strengthening the core. Try to keep a softness in the neck and the throat. Gaze a little forward of the fingers. Inhale. And let's exhale, gently lower the hips to the floor. Take your time, really uplifting those arms, uplifting those arms, uplifting those arms, keeping the legs really strong. Once the hips are on the floor, stretch out through the toes here. So we have Sphinx pose on the other side. Pressing into the elbows, you might start to come into half cobra, Ardha Bhujangasana. So the toes are pushing down, thighs are rolling in, tailbone pressing down, navel ribcage lifting a little. Now I'm going to press the ball of the hand and then the heel of the hand down into the floor, stretching the fingers to lift the elbows. And you don't have to extend the arms all the way, but if you are able, the heart continues to rise and the brain to drift back. Widen the collarbones as you widen through the heel of your hand. And then inhale, lower back down to the earth. Exhale, take this prone shavasana, stacking the hands as the elbows drift out. Toes in, heels out, head rests on the hands, and just take a few breaths, restorative breaths, breathing into the back. Exhale, settling into the earth. And allow your awareness to move around the body. And just notice, what is it that comes into your awareness? And let's inhale, lift the heart, lift the gaze, taking the gaze out. Exhale, bring the hands back by your lower ribs. Flex your toes. Good. You can either keep the knees on the floor or stretch out through the heels of your feet to extend those legs, pressing the tailbone down, rolling the shoulders back and lifting the heart. And then working with those hands, rolling from heel to ball as you use the toes to send the energy forward into the hips, up to the heart, upward dog or half cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. And breathe. So pedal out the legs a little tiny bit, just to kind of feel into the ground of your toes, your ankles, the movement through the ankle joint. Good. Knees flexing and extending without pushing back into the knee joint. Lift it. Good. And the hips. Inhale, take the gaze a little forward. The weight is in the arms. So you want to feel like you can push the earth away from you, uplifting those elbows. Bend the knees a little bit, push the earth away with the ball of the foot to get the sacrum a little higher. And then as you exhale, get the navel and the ribcage to lift and send the hips soaring and back, lowering the heels towards the earth and releasing the head. And breathe. Inhale, lift those heels, exhale, lower the knees to the ground. Good. We're going to bring the knees a little closer together here and start by lowering the hips back and down towards the heels of your feet, walking the arms out in front of you. So we're sort of we are setting up for a twist here, but taking the seat of an extended child's pose. So the hips go back towards the heels, the arms extend forward. Good. Thread your right arm underneath your left arm, palm face up towards the sky. Good. And I want to make this right arm longer. So I imagine someone's drawing the arm out for you. It's going to encourage, right, rather than pulling up on the shoulder, see if you can encourage a rotation through the belly. So the belly is going to roll towards your left thigh as you stretch out through that right arm. This might be enough of a twist for you, right? So this other arm is sort of here, bring it back. The left arm comes back a little bit. See if you can press this right shoulder down, and then you're just going to lift your hips, float your hips up off your heels until that right shoulder releases to the floor, and then the right temple can release towards the ground. And I'm pressing my shin bones and to the extent possible, the ankles to the floor to get this lift in the belly. And that invites rotation. Both knees are pressing down. Maybe the heel of that left hand comes to the sacrum. Maybe you can extend that left arm out in front of you. And then, to the extent that you want to at this time, you can stretch that left leg out behind you. Breathe in, right? And grounding through the shoulder, maybe that left leg reaches up and out. So keep dialing that left leg in, keep lifting through the lower belly. So you get some traction through that left hip, that left lower back, without sinking into the standing hip. Take another deep breath in. And exhale, grounding the arm, grounding the leg that's on the floor. Draw that back leg in. If you didn't lift it, just leave it there. Shift the hips back, taking that left hand in, releasing that right arm, and taking your child's pose, Balasana. Stacking the hands, forehead to the top hand. Billowing the back with your breath. Exhale, softening the heart, softening the hips, softening the head. Walk the arms out in front of you as you inhale the gaze forward, the head up. Good. Exhale. This time we're going to thread that left arm underneath the right arm, palm face up. So a lot of times we stop at the elbow. See if I'm going to bring that right hand back, and then I can use that right to push. And then imagine that someone's just kind of drawing on those left fingers. So you get that rotation. When you get the sense of the rib cage and the belly rolling to that right thigh. And then we're going to float the hips off the heels. So it's like a seesaw, very small seesaw. You're going to tip, right? Bringing the weight towards the knee end of the shin bone, but keep pushing down with the ankles. That's going to give you that lift in the belly that allows the sacrum to rise. Lower that left shoulder, lower the left temple, and begin to feel into your rotation. So the heel of my right hand is going to come to the sacrum, right? Keep building that rotation. And then you can use that right hand for support. I'm going to extend mine out in front. Watch the shoulder here. Elbow dials down towards the floor and then extends. Pressing into the right fingertips, left outer arm. That right leg can extend back this time. Again, see if you can dial the thigh in so you're not cranking up with the hip. That's the thing that we usually do is we use our back. Reach out with that right heel, ground with the left shin, left outer arm. And if you'd like to, you can now float that right leg up away from the floor, finding extension through that right leg. Keep building the lift in the lower abdomen. Inhale. Exhale. Imagine someone's gently reaching the right leg out behind you, so kind of drawing on your right leg to create some space at the hip. And then a nice lift through the lower belly. And then when you're ready, draw that right knee back in. If it was lifting, you don't have to. Exhale, navel to spine, rock the hips back. Maybe use that right hand to support you. Unravel and come back into your child's pose, resting the hands one on top of each other, forehead to the top hand. Come back into your restorative breaths, rooting or weighting the elbows, nice to soften the shoulders. Inhale, lift the head, take the gaze out, walk the arms out in front of you. Good. Exhale, rise to hands and knees. Good. Flexing your toes. Inhale, take those hips back, downward facing dog. Root through the feet, sacrum to the sky. Exhale, the heels release towards the earth. Maybe the head falls between the arms here. Again, I like to adjust by shifting the weight forward into my arms, taking the hands right between the thumbs or the hands. Good. Exhale, push away from the earth with the arms. So really integrate those shoulders. If you bend the knees a little, push with the ball of the foot, lifting the sacrum high, and then as you lower the heels and release the head without thinking through the shoulders, see if you can find some more traction in the back body. And just take a couple of breaths here, breathing in wide and deep. Inhale, gently take the gaze forward of the hands, soften your knees, and we're going to saunter the feet. Walk the feet, step the feet gently up towards the hands. Taking the feet either hip distance apart or together. Ardha Uttanasana. So I like to keep the seat of the chair, hands to the shin bones here as I lift the heart. Right? Extended forward bend. And in this way, you can take the weight a little bit into the ball of the foot and then step into the heel, the four corners of the heel to get that lift in the belly. Good. Take a deep breath in. Now the gaze and the heart can extend forward. Pull up on your kneecaps on all four corners of your knees, so the thighs embed a little bit, and then as you exhale, the belly can rise and the heart can fall, and then the head can maybe hang or rest on the seat of the chair. Inhale, deep breath. 2 more breaths in this forward bend. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, navel drawing into the body, rib cage retracting. This is going to engage the abdomen, which is what allows your spine to flex so you don't fall on the neck and shoulders. 1 more breath. And then root through the feet. Soften the knees, drop the hips, and rise to standing. Arms reach to the sky. Gather consciousness. Gather the mind. Gather speech, and take the hands to the heart, to the sternum. Sammashtatihi, equal standing. Close the eyes for a moment. So I'm going to have you set up with your sofa, right, or your chair in front of you. And we're going to start by stepping that right foot to the seat of the chair. So I'm working with a chair. So we're just going to start with that right foot on the seat of the chair. If you have blocks, I will invite you, I'm not going to work with them just so you can see, but I will invite you to take the block to either side of that right foot. And we're going to just start by standing. So the tailbone again, pressing forward. If you shift the weight, so as you sort of get set up here, as you shift the weight forward on the ball of your standing foot, what happens is the hips start to sort of drift forward a little bit. So put the weight in the ball of the foot. Good. So you can feel that. See if you can widen through the ball of the foot, create some space. I mean, you can literally manually take that big toe if you want to and pull it to the sort of inside, right? Pull it away from the second toe, create some space there. Good. And then as you come back up to an upright position, like we did in the Uttanasana, step into the four corners of that standing heel, that left heel, and see if you can get that tailbone to fall. We did this in Virasana, right? We're opening up the hips, the thigh here. And then sometimes the brain will take us forward. So then can the navel, the ribcage drift back? Can we start to lean into the, don't lean back behind, beyond, right, your line of gravity, but feel into that plane of your back. The weight's going to go right into that standing heel. And you want to feel like both the hamstrings and the thighs are engaging, like saran wrap, kind of hugging the leg, right? And the brain drifts back. And then from here, you have the option of bringing that right knee up to you, interlacing the fingers, good, sliding the hands up towards the head of the shin, squeezing that right knee towards the right shoulder. Beautiful. Take a deep breath in with the exhalation of the breath. So I'm working with a chair here because you can lower that right foot back down to the seat of the chair, the balance pose, right? And then slide that leg out along the chair, taking the tailbone forward and then leaning back. So the leg is kind of supported so that you're not hiking up with this right hip. And then you have the option of taking the first 2 fingers of your right hand to the big toe of that right foot, rolling the thigh in towards that right elbow, and then pressing out through the ball of the foot, bringing the navel ribcage back, and then just kind of leaning back and taking the gaze out. And take a breath. Try to get the tailbone to move into the body and the standing heel to really anchor and root down. Breathe. Soften that right shoulder. Good. Exhale. Inhale, bend your right knee. So slide the foot back in. Soften your standing leg. We're going to come into Virabhadrasana 3 here. So we're going to press that right foot back. We're going to tip the pelvis. Here's your seesaw. The weight's going to stay, right? It's going to go into the ball of the standing foot a little bit. But then you're going to step into that standing heel to anchor, engage that standing leg, and to get that lift in the belly. And then push the right foot out behind you as if you were pressing the ball of the foot into an imaginary wall. Take a deep breath in. So it's really nice to have the chair here so the hands or the arms can come underneath the shoulders. And instead of sinking into that standing hip, we're stepping into the heel, lifting through the belly, lifting the ribcage, and dialing that back leg in, taking the heart, the gaze forward. Good. It's really hard to do this pose with the arms out in front of you, which is the full expression of Virabhadrasana 3. So just take the gaze forward, the heart forward, and then maybe you just let the gaze fall towards the chair or the floor. One more deep breath in. Beautiful. Exhale. Keep dialing that back thigh in. Now float the back foot down towards the floor, some distance behind the front foot. So the right toes are going to kind of release towards the earth. Turn the toes out at a slight angle and start to reach that right heel out and down towards the floor behind you. So I'm grounding through the ball of the back foot, and you'll notice your weight shifts from the front leg, good, to somewhere between both legs as you anchor that back foot. This is your Parshvottanasana position, side stretch. That left hip dials back, so the hip of the front leg. Good. And again, I'm pressing, widening through the ball of the front foot, but I'm really stepping into the heel to get that left hip to dial back. Inhale, take the gaze forward and out. As you exhale, get that lift in the navel, that lift in the rib cage. So you're protecting the back and the hip, the left hip as you come down onto your forearms. Maybe you can let the head gently fall, grounding the elbow end of the forearm and releasing the head. Maybe the hands come down to frame that front foot and you take the head to a block or the seat of the chair. Breathing in, maybe the arms can extend out along the chair or out along the floor. But again, a lot of stretch right in that left outer thigh. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, 2 more breaths. You can look at that front foot. Good. Feel the energy rising up that left leg, back towards the left hip, up the front of that back leg, up towards that right hip, into the lower belly, softening the shoulders, softening the heart. And one more deep breath in. Stay present with the action, with the activity, good, with the effort, but without striving. And exhale. Soften your front knee, lift or take the gaze forward. Just like we did in downward dog, we're going to walk the hands back to the seat of the chair. We're framing that front foot. Take the heart out. Good. Exhale, trying to sink into the hips. Shift your weight forward again. And from here, we're going to bring that right knee all the way into the chest. Ground or bend that standing leg so you can really feel the action of the standing leg bringing you to an upright position. Again, I'm just going to rock the pelvis back, bringing that right knee back into the chest. Now re-extend that standing leg. Good. Hug the thigh to the chest. And we're going to step that right foot back to the seat of the chair. One more segment here. So this is where it's helpful to have your blocks if you have a little bit of extra height. And then we're going to hop that left leg back. So we're coming into a nice lunge, but with the right leg elevated. So with the chair, I want to make sure that the heel is pushing down on the front of the chair to really anchor the front leg so the chair doesn't tip back. Good. Really lift your back heel. So pick up that back heel. This is what we did in forearm plank, right? Tailbone forward, navel or pitch back. We're going to soften that front knee, keep the heel rooting down as you drop the hips towards the chair. And try to press the back thigh up towards the flesh of the hamstring. Lift your back heel. And then maybe as you lean back, you can just kind of find a little extension here. And then those of you who want to lower the knee towards the earth, I'm going to roll over my toes just because it's more comfortable to be on the top of the toes than cranking on the toes flexed, right? And see if you can invite that left knee to fall for a moment. So this is a little bit, we did Ustrasana the other day, right? Where we're on our shin bone. And again, tailbone pressing forward, navel ribcage drifting back, and the heart rising. Just to kind of feel some stretch through that front thigh. And take the hands to the seat of the chair. If you can, you roll over the toes, and we're just going to step it back into downward dog with support of the chair. What sensations coursing through your body? It could be heat, it could be coolness, it could be tingling, it could be shaking. As we wake up, right? Various muscle groups. As we refine some of our actions, take the gaze forward, the weight forward, walk, step, saunter the feet up to the chair, to the sofa, to the front of your mat. Good. Take a deep breath in and exhale. We're going to bow, taking our forward fold. The root to rise. So you might soften the knees, drop the hips, and ground those heels, reaching the arms to the sky. Gather consciousness, gather the mind, gather your speech, and take the hands to the heart. So this time the left foot comes to the seat of the chair. Again, working with your blocks if you want to work with your blocks. Shift the weight a little forward here so you can feel the weight on the ball of the standing foot. Make sure the toes, oh, I see this off, by the way. So if I turn to face the camera, make sure the standing leg isn't turned out. It's really important for the standing leg to be parallel. So you're going to ground through the ball of the foot, right? Make sure that you're not collapsing the arch, which puts a little bit of tension on the inner knee. So I'm going to step into, if you have an arch that's flat or you tend to pronate, you're going to step into the ball of the foot, and then the inner heel lift the inner ankle to really activate, wake up the yin meridians of the leg, right? That lift and rise and move into the pelvis. So both legs are parallel here. So be very conscious of the weight shifting now back into the standing heel. So I'm widening to the ball of that right foot. I'm stepping into all four corners of the standing heel, and the tailbone's going to press forward, and the navel and ribcage going to drift back. So I can feel that lift in the belly that kind of feeds the rising of the heart. And then from here, you can maybe take your foot on the block if you want to come a little higher, right? Or just interlace the fingers and see if you can slide the hand up towards the head of the shin, pressing the ball of the left foot down, but bringing the knee towards the shoulder. So a way of finding some length in the back, some opening in that right hip. And then lower that left foot back to the floor for those of you who want to just slide that left leg out, right, along the chair. So I'm working with the chair to kind of stabilize and support my left leg so I'm not kind of hiking up with the hip. Tailbone forward, navel back. And then those of you working with the Tita Hasta Panagushthasan, you're going to take that left big toe, press out through the ball of that left foot, thighs roll in. Same thing, tailbone forward, navel ribcage back, and then you invite the gaze and the heart to rise. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Stepping into your standing heel to really firm the standing leg, like saran wrap, skin hugs the muscle hugs the bone. And then bend your left knee. Good. You can release the left foot if you were holding, or lift the left foot off the chair and start to press the ball of the foot back. We're opening up the hip. Here's your half hero's pose. Try not to pull into the back. So there's a point where the left foot pushes back. I'm going to soften my standing leg, and I'm going to hinge at the hips to tip the pelvis forward. Good. And then I was thinking of the little teapot. I'm going to take the hands to the seat of the chair here. Good. And step into that left heel. So you don't have to straighten your left leg all the way. Really important not to hike that left hip up. And then push the left ball of foot out towards an imaginary wall behind you. Really extend that back leg. Dial that right hip back. Inhale, take the heart and the lungs forward. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Lift through the lower belly. You want to make sure you're decompressing this hip. I really want to feel the power in my hamstrings, right? Left hamstring, opening up the hip flexor. Inhale, navel to the spine. Exhale, float that left foot down to the floor behind you, some distance from the front foot. Once the toes touch, let the tailbone fall, let the belly rise. So the pelvis tips back. Roll through the ball of the foot. Toes are going to turn out. The back toes turn out at a small angle as you stretch and lower the heel down towards the floor. Good. Make sure that right hip doesn't slide out. So we're going to dial that right hip back. Take a deep breath in. With the exhalation of the breath. Good. Drop the tailbone, get that lift in the belly, that retraction of the rib cage. This action of cinching the waist is really important for protecting this lower back and releasing the hamstring a little bit so that you can come forward, maybe onto your forearms. And again, if you need to bend your front knee a little bit, try to let the hips slide forward. So press into the ball of that front foot. Step into the heel, dial that right hip back. Ooh, this is a setup for Parivrtta Utthita Trikonasana, right? Your revolved triangle. So again, breathing in, maybe you walk the hands out a little bit. You can release the forehead to the chair. Maybe the hands come to the earth. Just watch the shoulders that will pull on the upper back. So there's a lot of action in the legs. Stepping into the front edge of that front heel, dialing that that left hip back. Breathing the right hip back. We now have the right leg in front. Exhale. And let's take a few breaths, just kind of feeling into, settling into, softening into the posture. So there's some effort, right, to establish the steadiness and the strength. Within that effort, there's a softening of the striving. Right? There's a sweetness that arises because we're inhabiting all those tight, sticky places. We're giving them some attention. And maybe the body's resisting, maybe the mind is resisting, maybe the breath is resisting. And can we just come back to the seat of our pose, give it some life force, send it some energy, give it some tender attention. One more breath. Soften your front knee, inhale, shift your weight forward, taking the gaze out. Hands come back to the feet of the chair. And as you bring that back foot up and the knee in, we're going to ground that standing foot, pull into the belly, tip the pelvis back. Keep your standing leg bent and drive through that standing leg to bring that left knee back into the chest and lower that left foot to the seat of your chair. Woo. Take the hands to the seat of your chair or your blocks and let's hop that right leg back. So you can stretch out through the heel and then we'll lift the heel way up, soften through that front knee. If you feel you can or need to, hop the foot a little further back so that the front knee, right, stacks over the ankle or the foot, but you want to keep this heel on the chair. So from here, I'm going to soften through that front knee. I'm pressing the tailbone forwards to see how the tailbone drops here. This is your transition from downward dog to high push-up position. Right, and I'm going to press the tailbone and the hips forward. Keep pushing that right thigh, the back thigh, up and back towards the flesh of the hamstring to really get this opening in the chest. And then again, inhale, maybe the heart rises as well. Exhale. Just feeling into this little balance pose. This is your Anjaneyasana. Nice. Hands to the seat of the chair. Maybe you lower that back knee towards the earth. And I'm just going to kind of roll forward a little bit over the toes. So on the top of the foot, tailbone falling, so I'm not compressing this left hip. Good. Breathing in. Maybe the tailbone can press forward, the navel, the ribcage can drift back, and that right thigh can just kind of hang from the hip socket. Just really getting some opening in that right hip. Hands to the seat of the chair. Shift the weight forward. Maybe I roll over the foot. It's not the easiest thing to do to roll over the foot. So yeah, just feel into your own body. Good. And we're going to step it back into downward facing dog. So just kind of reaching way back to the hips. And then step or walk the feet to the feet of the chair. Good. Ground through your heels. You might soften your knees. So if you want to, you can bend the knees, drop the hips. Okay. But either way, activate those legs with that lift in the belly. Rock the pelvis back, lean back, rise up to standing arms to the sky. Gather consciousness. Gather mind, gather speech, take the seat of the heart. Samashanti, equal standing. Release the arms. Beautiful. From here, we're going to step the feet about mat distance apart, coming into Mandalasana. So soften the knees, drop the hips. We're going to take the hips back and then down towards the earth. And I'm just using my chair here to kind of ground, to support myself so I can keep the chest somewhat lifting without pulling into the back. And the sacral ligaments, the tailbone falling. Yeah. The weight's in the heels here. Very nice. And then you can take the hands, one hand back, just to kind of lower as gracefully as possible to the earth. Good. Chair on the, make sure your chair or, whatever surface you're working with is not moving. We're going to lie on our backs here. And we're going to move into shoulder stand. So this is sort of supported shoulder stand. Good. So I'm going to recline, taking my legs to the seat of the chair. So you might recline first, right? And then take the legs to the seat of the chair. Good. So once you've reclined, I'm going to take the legs to the seat of the chair. So the hips are pretty close, right, to the front of the chair. I want to make sure the whole calf is on the seat of the chair. The back is completely flat, broad, and widening across the mat. The arms can extend alongside the hip. And I'm just going to kind of press the head of the shoulder down lightly so that not the kidneys pop up, right? But that the heart, as I press the back of the upper arm, the back of the shoulder drops a little bit. Maybe something in the heart can get a little wider, broader, and a little uplifted. So I might feel a little extension of the upper spine. And then we're going to walk the feet towards the seat, the front of the seat of the chair. So we've done this before. Good. Where the back of the heel is on the front part of the sofa or the chair. And I'm going to press out through the ball of the foot. Good. And the front edge of the heel is going to push down on the seat of the chair as my tailbone rises up. So I'm going to curl the tailbone up towards the ceiling. This is why we did all those hip openers. Good. So I'm going to start again. Take the legs into the knees together. Take the feet apart. So there's a little distance between the feet, right? Knees roll in, just like we sort of set up for Virasana, feet a little bit apart, a little wider. And that will encourage the thighs to roll in. They will naturally drift apart. The heels will naturally drift apart as the hips come up. But I want to make sure that there's some space between the feet to protect the space in the pelvis. So again, we're pressing the front of the heel to the front of the chair, not pushing down with the front heel on the chair. And the ball of the foot magnifies towards the seat of the chair as your tailbone rises, your hips rise. Good. I'm going to walk the hands down the mat towards the sofa, towards the seat of the chair, towards the front leg. I can actually find my front legs of the chair, so I've got something to hold on to. If you don't, you can hold on to the sides of your mat. Pull the mat away from the head and let the brain fall back. Good. And maybe you can tuck one shoulder underneath, roll onto that shoulder, tuck the other shoulder underneath. So what you're working on here is creating a groove around your thoracic spine, pressing the back of the upper arm, head of the shoulder falls down. So the weight transitions. So it's the arm that's pushing down. The head of the shoulder is falling back and down, and then push the back of the head down so you're not compressing the neck. Right? If you're holding onto the legs of the chair, you've got something against which, right, to press the feet down, holding onto the chair, lifting the hips up, pressing the head back. Preserve the natural curve of your neck. And now can the outer thighs hug in towards the inner thighs so you're not splaying the knees. And then you rise, you root through the heels to rise through the hips. Good. The tailbone presses into the body so you get that energy flow from the belly to the heart, and now press the head into the earth. So the neck, the gaze is up and the neck is long, not compressed. So there's not a single vertebra on the floor. Now, as you lower down, drop the tailbone, drop the groins, let the groins fall. Then I'm going to press into the front of the chair only if you're holding onto the legs. Good, but just let the hips fall towards the earth. They're going to be a little closer to the chair than you were when you started. Then you can take the legs to the chair, release the shoulders, let the heart soften towards the earth, fly the head out, and just take rest. This is a challenge. If you want to take that one more time, there's always value in doing a posture of engaging a posture twice, just because I feel like the first time is a warm up. We're trying to figure out what we're doing, where we're going, how the body feels. The second time, that posture is already somewhat familiar. So again, you might press the heels of your feet, the front edge of the heel into the front of the chair, the back of the heel down, the front edge of your heels down onto the seat of the chair as you're placing the ball of the foot, right? As you're rolling to the ball of the foot. Really important to keep grounding through your heels. It's the heels of the feet rooting that allow the hips to rise. Good. Really important for the head to press back into the earth so you're preserving the natural curve of your neck. This will be a shorter duration pose. Now broaden the collarbones. Good. Press the back of the upper arm down. The biceps are working to really anchor the triceps, the back of the upper arm. And here's the key. Don't push the shoulders back and down. See if you can invite the head of the shoulder to fall. And as the head of the shoulder falls, there's a tendency for the neck to want to get compressed. Good. And that's all lower down. This is an intense pose. And I'm going to invite you to sit up for Shavasana, just kind of resting the legs on the seat of the chair, if that's what you'd like to do. So a little elevation of the legs is really nice for the hips and for the lower back. You can also take the legs up against the wall and have the legs extended up against the wall, Viparita Karanai, to go against the grain of gravity. Viparita, to go against the grain. Good. Invite your body to land. Good. The brain, the substance of the brain to soften to the back of the head. The heart to soften. And we meet ourselves resting in the arms of Mother Earth, nurtured by our own breath, inviting our attention, our awareness to simply come to land and rest in this thread of consciousness, Brahmastra. Inviting this breath to expand within the body, like particles of light taking up all the space. We're looking for all the empty spaces, right? The places that have been ignored perhaps, or we've closed off from. As we relax, as we lean back, we're inviting ourselves to open up to a degree of vulnerability. And in so doing, we're inviting the light to shine into those darker, shadowy places. Little particles of light that expand and take up space to illuminate your body from within, all the way to the surface of your skin, and then to extend into that space around you. So we literally create an aura of energy around our bodies that we can take into the day with us, that emanates from within, from the seat of the soul at the heart, from the seat of the self at the second chakra, Svadhisthana, and from the seat of spirit at the third eye point. Riding these waves of the breath through the body, inviting the mind to soften, to slow down, to step back. Practice this 14-day daily practice with Mangala Mantra, this closing prayer, and this offering to the world, this dedication of merit, this extension of our own practice into a practice of raising collective, not just personal, but collective consciousness. May all be well with the world. May we each lead from by keeping to the right path. May there be goodness for those who know the earth to be sacred. May all beings everywhere know freedom from pain and suffering. May the rains fall on time and the earth yield her fruit in abundance. May this world be free from disturbances and the righteous free from fear. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. A prayer for peace. Peace. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me at the start of this year.